Weather can severely impact your ability to meet with your team. Roads are closed, flights get canceled, and people stay home sick. So be prepared. Sign up for GoToMeeting by Citrix, the powerfully simple way to meet online. With GoToMeeting, your team can collaborate on documents in real time and just turn on your webcams to see each other face to face. Sign up for your 45-day free trial of GoToMeeting today. Visit GoToMeeting.com, click the Try It Free button, and enter promo code 45.
Now here's something you don't hear on the radio every day. Someone who can't see. I am totally blind. So I go through periods when I'm unable to sleep at night. And I feel like I'm constantly running, but can never quite catch up. But this isn't a sleep problem. It's something called non-24-hour disorder. Learn more about non-24 by calling 855-856-2424 or visiting learnmorenon24.com.
Fink's Car Care, with locations in Chesapeake and Portsmouth, is your dedicated Tire Stars dealer. At Fink's, their experienced staff specializes in brakes, steering, suspension, tune-ups, oil changes, and much more. They also handle rebuilt engines and transmissions, and they're your destination for tires, rims, and towing as well. Fink's is located at 2236 South Military Highway at 2711 Victory Boulevard. For more information, log on to finkscarcare.com or call 545-3573.
Chesapeake, Virginia, 1650 AM WHKT presents Sports Scene. Sports Scene features local, regional, and nationally acclaimed guests and excellent interviews. Follow Sports Scene on Twitter at Greg Bick and at GJBTV.com. Now here is Greg Bickaveris.
And thank you very much, Ken Johnson. Glad you're with us for this February 12th, 2014. This is Sports Scene right here on News Talk 1650 WHKT. Save the date every Wednesday from 12 to 1 for a live local talk, sports talk, right here in Hampton Roads in southeastern Virginia. In fact, I was driving up to Washington this past weekend. Our signal is excellent, 10,000 watts AM. Also listen to it on tunein.com. Type in WHKT 1650, your home for CBS News, Glenn Beck, Laura Ingram, and the Admirals. Tell your friends about 1650. Find them on Facebook and Twitter. Twitter me at Greg Bick, at Sports Highlight, at GJBTV. Thank you to our military each and every day. And our guest lineup is impressive, like always. We're going to talk to Mitchell Bradley from ESPN 950 in Richmond. Also for our business spotlight, Brenda Tusing, talking about the Royal Chocolate, getting ready for Valentine's Day in a couple days. And also our special guest this afternoon at 12:35, Ian Eagle, one of the top play-by-play announcers from CBS Sports, will join us as well. Look at our sponsors page on GJBTV.com, Marketplace sponsors. Kudos to the Egg Bistro, Battlefield Guns and Ammo, Crawl Space, Spaghetti Eddie's, also Silver Eagle Coins and Collectibles as well, and of course Aunt Annie's as well. They have Bamboo Bistro as well on GJBTV.com. Excellent Vietnamese fusion restaurant right there in the peninsula. GJBTV.com archives each show on the YouTube link. Go to GJBTV.com right there on the homepage as well. Shop on the Marketplace sponsors. And of course, save the date each Wednesday from 12 to 1 right here for Sports Scene. Stay tuned. Your radio home for the Norfolk Admirals and AHL action in Hampton Roads is News Talk 1650 WHKT. For 25 years, the Admirals have been creating memorable moments in southeastern Virginia, and your place to hear all the hockey action on the ice is right here on 1650 AM.
The Norfolk Admirals take on Syracuse Friday, February the 14th at 7:30 p.m. on K-Talk 1650.
Excellent Italian food is found at Spaghetti Eddie's, a neighborhood restaurant with a great family atmosphere and delicious Italian cuisine. Define Spaghetti Eddie's. New York-style pizza, pasta, subs, calzones, soups, salads will bring you back again and again. Log on to SpaghettiEddiesPizzaCafe.com and visit them at Greenbrier and Western Branch. Quality Italian food is at Spaghetti Eddie's.
Nor'easter season is here, so don't get all wet.
Protect your house. Call Crawl Space Door Systems at 363-0005. Reduce your flood insurance, reduce the threat of mold and insects, and save energy. Crawl Space Doors, air vents, flood vents, vent covers, and fans can help you stay dry or get you dry quickly. Contact Crawl Space Doors for more information at 363-0005 or online at crawlspacedores.com. Stay dry, my friends.
And you got to love it right there. The NBA was at the Wizards Sacramento Kings game on Sunday. As a kid, each Sunday after church, we'd watch the NBA on CBS, always ACC basketball on Saturday. But that NBA music is simply the best. All right, this is Greg Picaveras, host of Sports Highlights on NNPSTV.com. Also, Sports Scene right here on News Talk 1650 WHKT, your home for the Admirals. CBS News, Glenn Beck and Laura Ingram. We do it every Wednesday from 12 to 1. Go to GJBTV.com. Click the YouTube link for archive shows. Don't forget, get your taxes done 2 months from this coming Saturday. Is already April the 15th and 2 months from Saturday. Hard to believe. Well, we got the cold weather going on, but inside our radio studio, nice and hot, and we're going to talk to Mitchell Bradley, program director from ESPN 950 in Richmond. Mitchell, welcome to Hampton Roads.
Greg, how are you this afternoon?
Always a pleasure, my friend. Always a pleasure right there. And, of course, Mitchell's in Richmond. We've worked together for several years. Of course, worked in radio and TV together both. And, Mitchell, congratulations on your new signal. Talk about it.
Yeah, Greg, thank you. We appreciate it. Looking forward to expanding the reach down into the Central Virginia area with their edition of Sports FM 100.5, which went on the air the 1st of February. It's the same programming you can hear on the ESPN radio affiliate in town, but the opportunity to broadcast more games and have one game on one station and one game on the other. So we're certainly excited about that as we head into the beginning of March and some great college basketball.
Before we get to the CAA and A-10 and March Madness a little bit, going on year 2 this coming up summer for the Redskins training camp. I had a chance to go out there one day, and of course I thought overall it was a success, but the Redskins had a very dismal year after that. What are the expectations? Brand new coach, seems a little bit more low-key with the coach compared to the Shanahans. What are your thoughts this year?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this year goes. Certainly, I mean, nearly 175,000 was kind of the estimated attendance for this past July and August with training camp. But we'll see how this year goes. I mean, with the signings going on, but certainly there should be an excitement for the fans with a new coaching staff coming in, and what schemes will that bring and plays for the offense, and more or less how will RG3 react with his new coach after the disappointing season he had last year. So, I mean, it's hard to believe that we were talking about it yesterday, that, I mean, it's kind of the countdown's already begun for training camp, even though it won't begin until the end of July. Yeah, once that new year ticks, it really is starting to think about everything in 2014. We're talking to Mitchell Bradley from ESPN 950 in Richmond, also 100.5. Greg Picaveras, glad you're with us on News Talk 1650 WHKT. Find us on TuneIn.com by typing WHKT. That's amazing, too, Mitchell. When both of us started off in radio and TV, it was pretty much just radio and TV. Now it's Facebook, Twitter, TuneIn, SoundCloud, Dropbox. I mean, there's so many ways to hear content and programming online on websites. It's just amazing, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, I started when I was 16 years old, and it like you said, it's amazing how many ways you can get radio stations, and not just radio, TV now through the internet. I mean, with the live streaming we have, and kind of like you guys have with the our audio vault, where people can go back and listen to past shows. There's unlimited ways to find our local programming, or if you want to hear play-by-play, one way or the other, if you're willing to do the research and kind of go through the effort to find it, it'll be there for you. Yeah, I just found it easier to archive all my shows here lately on YouTube, because that's the number one audio video sound search in the country, so it's pretty recognizable, and people still go to it. We're talking to Mitchell Bradley. Well, what's going on this year for the first time not since 1989, when the CAA tournament was here in Hampton at the Hampton Coliseum? The CAA tournament was in Richmond from 1990 all the way to 2013, even without a Richmond team last year. Mitchell, how will it be, and what are the thoughts? Because the CAA is still based in Richmond. They're going to be in Baltimore next month, and it just seems like without Old Dominion, without VCU, without Richmond, without George Mason, it's lost a lot of vibe. Yeah, our morning show was talking about this morning how it would really help for the CAA if they were able to get Towson and Delaware to somehow match up in the final, that would be a huge draw for them. But otherwise, I mean, there's not too much local appeal outside of Towson. You do have Delaware that's not too far away, but the trip from William & Mary and some of the southern schools are farther away. But it'll be interesting. I mean, it obviously makes sense for them to probably make a move outside of Richmond since the VCU left and there's no more local schools in the tournament. But we'll see how it goes. I mean, it's a multi-year deal. In Richmond, we're certainly disappointed to see it go because, I mean, whether you were a fan of one of the local schools here in VCU or just a college basketball fan, it was still a great draw and a great tournament to have. And, I mean, the void will be filled with the Atlantic 10 women's tournament, but it's still a little bit different than having a championship men's basketball tournament for one of those automatic bursts into the NCAA tournament 1 week later.
We're talking to Mitchell Bradley from ESPN 950 in Richmond. Greg Picaveras, glad you're with us on Sports Scene on News Talk 1650 every Wednesday from 12 to 1 right here live on the radio and online, as we just alluded to as well. And you talk about that, too. I was part of the CAA broadcast for the last 4 years and stage managed on TV, just like Mitchell has as well. And we really had a lot of fun broadcasting that whole event on the radio, and you were a big part of it.
Yeah, no, it was great for the radio station when people came into town from outside. That we had every game on from the first game on Thursday all the way, or the Friday rather, to the championship game on Friday night. So we found that it was kind of a place for the local listeners to turn to, and for those people out of town. And it'll certainly be a loss for here at the radio station, but certainly for the city of Richmond as well. It was a revenue builder and something that brought in income. And unfortunately, I don't think the women's tournament's going to bring in quite as much, but as I said, it's great to have something to kind of fill that void and bring in college basketball to the city. But as to Baltimore, I mean, they'll benefit now, and hopefully they'll get a draw from some of the northern schools that can make their way down. It's
amazing, the Newport News and the Richmond connections, because the Atlantic 10 is based in Newport News, right there in the city center. The Atlantic 10 tournament's going to be in Richmond at the Coliseum. Of course, the CAA tournament's going to be in Baltimore, and the A10 men's tournament's going to be in Brooklyn. So it's pretty much an East Coast thing as well. And let's talk about that too, because you're very involved with the University of Richmond. For years, it was always Richmond basketball first, VCU second. But ever since Shaka got there, and of course VCU was good under Sonny, of course, as well back in the 90s. But it seems like under Shaka, it's havoc, it's Final Four, it's NCAA tournament, it's sellouts every single game. And of course, VCU did beat Richmond earlier this year.
Yeah, I mean, you just pretty much said it all, and it's hard to believe how much things have changed. And in relatively a short amount of time under Shaka Smart, he's really changed the program that Anthony Grant kind of turned around, and before that, Jeff Capel. So it was a slow transition, but once Coach Smart made his way into the Siegel Center, I mean, things really picked up. There was the Final Four appearance, and, the draw that VCU brought to the city several years ago has certainly just grown. And as you said, the sellout streak, I don't even know how high that is. And they've got another big one tonight against George Washington as they make their way into town. But on the other side with Richmond still has their fan base over on the western side of town, and they're looking to kind of make some noise here as they enter the final part of the regular season and somehow make their way into the tournament, hopefully between a good run between the regular season and the Atlantic 10 tournament up in the Barclays Center in Brooklyn.
And we're talking about programming, too. And, of course, I think you had a chance to work the Richmond women's basketball game here recently. And you look at some of these attendance for some of the women's basketball games, still very low. But it's still programming for these fledgling networks like CBS Sports Network and NBC Sports Network to have something on the air. You look at CBS Sports Network, they've got Boomer and Carton in the morning. And Fox Sports 1 is soon to reportedly, of course, is just reportedly going to have Mike Francesa's show from WFAN in New York. So a lot, and of course ESPN has Colin Cowherd and Mike and so forth. So a lot of the TV networks, Mitchell, you know this firsthand, are simulcasting radio shows.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, that's one thing we talked about in our sales meeting earlier last week is how many of these radio shows are just kind of program fillers, but good program fillers. That
sure.
Mike and Mike, when they first came on, were strictly radio, and now you think about how much they have moved into the television side and how much that show has been kind of transitioned to a 4-hour program in the morning with all the elements that they do. So going back to the other things, I mean, as you mentioned with CBS, I had the pleasure to work for them last night doing the Richmond 4 Fordham women's game. Not a lot of fans in the seat, as you mentioned, but, I mean, the reach that they're getting and what that helps to do for recruiting, and what a great win for Richmond last night against a great Fordham team to do that on national TV is good for their brand.
All right, leave us with a weather update because our signal does go up to Richmond and beyond right here on News Talk 1650. You talked about snow. It looks like here it's pretty much just cold weather, maybe some rain and sleet a little bit later. What's the weather update there in the Metro Richmond area?
Yeah, the latest for us is snow expected somewhere around sunset this afternoon, depending where you live in the city. If you're over on the eastern side, 64, somewhere out towards New Kent listening, you're probably going to be on the lighter side of the accumulation, somewhere around 3 inches or so. But if you get on the western side of the city, out towards Swart Pump, heading to Louisa, into that area, out towards Charlottesville, they're calling for the better part of 8 to 12 inches of snow this afternoon. So it really depends what your address is and where your zip code's located as to how much snow you're going to get. But everyone's batting down the hatches and getting ready for another winter storm to make its way through here in Central Virginia.
Well, Mitchell Bradley, thank you for joining us with your time, talent, and treasure today live on the radio on News Talk 1650, and all the best to you and your family for a great remainder of the week.
Greg, give me a call anytime. Good to talk with you again.
Always a pleasure. All right, Mitchell Bradley right there from News Talk 1650 right here on our air, and of course he works for ESPN 950 in Richmond. Also, they are simulcasting on 100.5, talking about how radio has evolved and changed, even with Facebook, Twitter, Audio Vaults, YouTube, and all the different ways you can hear it on TuneIn and online. And also with the Redskins training camp in year 2, not quite the buzz coming up this summer compared to last year because the Redskins had a bad year. All right, stay tuned. We're going to have our business spotlight a little early, getting ready for Valentine's Day. And don't forget, special guest Ian Eagle, one of the top play-by-play announcers in the country from CBS Sports, after the CBS News. Stay tuned.
Excellent Italian food is found at Spaghetti Eddie's, a neighborhood restaurant with a great family atmosphere and delicious Italian cuisine. Define Spaghetti Eddie's. New York-style pizza, pasta, subs, calzones, soup, salads will bring you back again and again. Log on to SpaghettiEddiesPizzaCafe.com and visit them at Greenbrier and Western Branch. Quality Italian food is at Spaghetti Eddie's.
Finks Car Care is your place for all of your automotive needs. They handle state inspections, brakes, tune-ups, oil changes, transmission service, radiator repair. They have a wide variety of tires, and when it comes to your car, they do it all. Visit their 2 locations at 2711 Victory Boulevard in Portsmouth and 2236 South Military Highway in Chesapeake. For more, log on to finkscarcare.com and call 545-3573.
Let's get back to Greg Bigoveris and Sports Scene on 1650 WHKT.
All right, thank you very much, Ken Johnson. I'm going to plug Royal Chocolate right here in our business spotlight right here. The Royal Chocolate, excellent place for candy and sweets right there at the Town Center in Virginia Beach. Excellent place for candy. Go by and see Brenda and Terry. Give them a call at 557-6925. Excellent place. Getting ready for Valentine's Day in a couple days as well. So a lot going on. Don't forget Sports Scene every Wednesday from 12 to 1 right here on News Talk 1650 WHKT. I want to thank Mitchell Bradley for joining us earlier from ESPN 950. Don't forget to shop on the Marketplace sponsors on GJBTV.com. Save the date each Wednesday right here for live local sports talk radio. Your home for CBS News as well. Don't forget save the date for the Newport News Greek Festival May 29th to June 1st. And Ken Johnson, who do we have on the line?
This is Brenda.
Brenda, where are you, my friend?
Where am I? Where do you think I would be today?
You're at the Royal Chocolate, of course.
I am at the Royal Chocolate.
Getting ready for 2 days before Valentine's Day. But I'll tell you one thing, as we're talking to Brenda Tusing right here from the Royal Chocolate and the RoyalChocolate.com, it's pretty much Valentine's Day every day at the Royal Chocolate. Talk about it.
Well, you know what? You're kind of right. It is Valentine's Day every day. And you'll have to pardon my little scratchy throat here this morning. I've been talking to a lot of people today. Our big thing for Valentine's Day and all year round, in fact, certainly are chocolate-dipped strawberries. They are very large berries dipped in Belgian chocolate. We can do those in dark milk or white. They're absolutely gorgeous, and they are just delicious. So we're doing berries by the hundreds right now. We've got lots of fresh dipped apples and cases of truffles. We can absolutely make it happen for you on Valentine's Day.
Talking to Brenda Tusing right here from the Royal Chocolate. Greg Picaveras. This is News Talk 1650 for our business spotlight. Stay tuned for Ian Eagle coming up after the CBS News at about 12:35 or so, right here on News Talk 1650. And you and Terry really have been it's a great combination there. I know I've done business with you guys for years, and it's not just Easter or Christmas, but it's something special all the time. There's always a special occasion, Brenda. And I think that's the first thing when I think about the Royal Chocolate, whether it's a birthday, anniversary, wedding. You guys do it all.
We do, and thanks for the compliment. We try to make every customer's visit special. We have so many things for samples and things that different people can try, and we try to make it an experience. And the weddings, and we do baby showers. We've got a beautiful seating area here. People come in and have bridal showers and baby showers. We do chocolate fondues, and we can accommodate almost anything. We just had somebody ask today, they're doing a birthday party, and they want to have a baseball theme. So we're going to make them white strawberries with the red trim on them and make them look like baseballs for them.
And I got to give you another compliment, too, because I've had a lot of clients over the years, been in business for a long time as well. And you and Terry really run a business the way it's supposed to. Hands-on owners, all-inclusive, top-of-the-line communication with each other. Even in this Facebook world that we live in, it's still face-to-face and verbal. I can tell a client more in 5 minutes over a phone call or in person than I could 20 emails. And you and Terry really get that, and you really are hands-on, and that's the way it's supposed to be run. And when you walk in your store, it's just a beautiful facility, and you can tell it's well run.
Well, thank you again. I appreciate that very much. Terry and I really enjoy what we do at the Royal Chocolate. We're very proud of what we've created and continue to create. She and I have made a great partnership together, and I think that flows down to our staff. Excuse me. We appreciate our customers. We know they have other choices, and they choose us. That's extremely special to us, and we try to make that show.
Mm-hmm. Just a couple more questions. And your phone number is 557-6925. We have a lot of out-of-town listeners, 757. For you, those of you listening in past Williamsburg as well, theroyalchocolate.com, right? And find them on Facebook?
Yes, we have a nice website. You can follow us on Facebook. We offer specials periodically on Facebook. You can join our email list through our website. And we do ship and deliver. We deliver locally all year long, and we ship seasonally. So we'll ship now until the weather turns warm, which they promise us that one day it will.
All right. Well, look, everybody's going to cheat a little bit with sweets this week. Give us some good stuff like those candy apples, the chocolate peanut butter. I mean, just chocolate goodness when you walk in there.
All chocolate goodness. Like I said, this week in particular, the strawberries cannot be outdone. Mm-hmm. But boy, those caramel apples, even our pretzel rods dipped in caramel and chocolate, toffee and nuts, and there's not a bad chocolate in the house, and I can tell you that honestly because I've eaten at least one time everything in this store.
Well, the Aberdeen Barn, one of my other clients, they won the raffle for some gift cards, so you'll be you'll be seeing them come in as well, and they support your place all the time. Yep. Well, finally, give us your address and tell how people can come by there, and what are your hours?
Our hours are 10 to 9 Monday through Saturday, 12 to 5 on Sunday. We are open some extended Valentine's hours. Friday morning we're open at 8:30 and we'll stay open until 10. Saturday 10 to 10 and Sunday noon to 6. We are at 164 Central Park Avenue in the Virginia Beach Town Center. There's great on-the-street parking, and we are directly across the street from a nice large parking lot.
Makes for a great weekend. Get some the Royal Chocolate, go to the Comedy Club. It's just so much to do right there in Virginia Beach.
You know what? It's really a great spot. I love Town Center. You're right. There's a lot to do.
And it's safe and plenty of parking. Okay.
Very safe.
Brenda, rest that voice. That voice. And happy Valentine's Day to you. But, of course, it's happy Valentine's Day every day at the Royal Chocolate.
Thank you, Greg. Hope to see you soon.
My pleasure. Okay. Brenda Tusing right there from our Business Spotlight a little early. What we're going to do is we're going to take a break for CBS News. Then I'm going to reverse a little bit. We're going to come back with our guest, Ian Eagle. And then we're going to do the highlights and what tees you off after Iron Eagle right here. So Ken Johnson, of course, he is Mr. Multitasker, the home for CBS News right here. Don't forget Sports Scene every Wednesday, 12 to 1, big-time special guest. We get the elite guest right here on Sports Scene, Iron Eagle from CBS Sports. This is Sports Scene. Ken Johnson, take it away.
Alrighty, we're not seeing any major traffic problems right now. After a very busy morning, we had crashes at the James River Bridge. Had southbound tied up for almost the better part of 3 hours, and not just the crashes, the effects, the after effects, if you will. All those vehicles sitting up there had their batteries die, and cars ran out of gas. Why didn't they stop traffic from anyway? That's another whole story. But right now, no major backups, delays. We had bridge openings at the James River Bridge and High Rise Bridge, so traffic was heavier on 17 and 64 earlier. But things are looking pretty good right now. No other bridge openings on the schedule so far. Now, if you're worried about the effects of the weather on the roadways, it doesn't look like we're going to get a whole lot of accumulation, so probably not that big of a problem heading into the morning tomorrow, and they probably won't, famous last words, cancel any schools. But when the S word is in the forecast, sometimes they get the itchy trigger finger. Here is what we're looking for: cloudy, windy, some afternoon snow, probably some flurries, no accumulation expected. 39 is the high, so even if it does fall, it's going to melt. Cloudy, windy, a mix of snow and rain tonight, and then just plain rain overnight, a low of 37 degrees. Cloudy, windy, more rain tomorrow, a high of 43 degrees. First person mentions drought gets smacked Friday. Partly cloudy skies, a high of 55. Saturday looking pretty good. Sunshine with a high of 42. And the outlook for Sunday right now, partly cloudy skies and a high of 35 degrees. Stay tuned. More of Sports Scene with Greg Bickevere is coming up after this short break, and a CBS News update on K-Talk 1650. It's 12:31.
Carolina Governor Pat McCrory, his state's getting ice and snow. Georgia power officials report more than 200,000 customers have lost electricity in all the ice. Governor Nathan Deal.
Be very cautious about downed power lines because you won't know whether they're live with power or not.
The bad weather stretches back into Louisiana. Reporter Dave Cohen.
At the Louisiana-Mississippi line, 6 18-wheelers piled into one another, and a tanker spilled a dangerous chemical.
We're working on getting that cleaned up.
Louisiana Trooper Albert Paxton says there were a series of chain reaction crashes that followed as ice is covering much of the roadway.
This storm promises to bring heavy snow to much of the Northeast tomorrow. More than 3,000 flights have been canceled today. CBS News Update. I'm Steve Kathan.
Finks Car Care is your place for all of your automotive needs. They handle state inspections, brakes, tune-ups, oil changes, transmission service, radiator repair. They have a wide variety of tires, and when it comes to your car, they do it all. Visit their two locations at 2711 Victory Boulevard in Portsmouth and 2236 South Military Highway in Chesapeake. For more, log on to finkscarcare.com and call 545-3573.
Attention gun enthusiasts, your complete store for guns is at 240 North Battlefield Boulevard in Chesapeake. Tom and the staff will assist you with tactical guns, custom AR builds, and they handle service and repair. Battlefield Guns and Ammo has specials, and they buy, sell, trade, consign, and do FFL transfers, and always look out for the military and the police. Log on to BattlefieldGunshop.com and call 410-7720. Open Monday through Saturday, this is your store for guns, ammo, and accessories. Battlefield Guns and Ammo in Chesapeake.
Nor'easter season is here, so don't get all wet.
Protect your house. Call Crawl Space Door Systems at 363-0005. Reduce your flood insurance, reduce the threat of mold and insects, and save energy. Crawl Space Doors, air vents, flood vents, vent covers, and fans can help you stay dry or get you dry quickly. Contact Crawl Space Doors for more information at 363-0005 or online at crawlspacedores.com. Stay dry, my friends.
Now back to Sports Scene on 1650 AM WHKT.
And welcome back to Sports Scene right here every Wednesday, 12 to 1, live on the radio, online at News Talk 1650, your home for CBS News in Hampton Roads, your 10,000-watt powerhouse right here, your News Talk station in southeastern Virginia. Greg Bicavera, save the date every Wednesday, 12 to 1. And, of course, hope you enjoyed our first guest, Mitchell Bradley, as well as Brenda Tusing as well. Well, a person I've had a chance to stage manage since 2003, have kept this streak going for 11 years and will this weekend as well at the Pitt UNC game. One of the top play-by-play announcers for CBS Sports, works for Yes Network, the tennis channel. He is everywhere, worked at WFAN for several years too. We're talking about Ian Eagle. Ian, welcome to Virginia Beach.
Hey, Greg, good to talk to you again. How you doing?
Good, my friend. Always a pleasure. I guess I have to lead off the weather, Ian, because it's such a big deal this time of the year. I mean, the Super Bowl just ended. They were worried about the weather there. Then, of course, it started snowing, and you travel more than anybody. How's the weather right now where you're at?
Fine today. We got a Net game tonight, so I'll make my way to Brooklyn in a couple hours for the Nets and the Charlotte Bobcats. Tomorrow is supposed to be brutal, talking about 6 to 10 to 12 inches, somewhere in that area, and some really nasty conditions. And then Friday morning, I'm scheduled to head out to Chapel Hill. So hopefully, if the weather gods are on my side, we'll continue what has been a hot streak of pretty solid travel, and that's the one thing you can't control, Greg. You can do all the prep work, you can control your energy over the course of the broadcast, you can get your partners involved, you can be a good team player, you can be a professional. You can't control the weather, you can't control the travel. That part is out of my hands.
Yeah, and even when you and Jim went to London as well, it was just kind of interesting. As a play-by-play guy, you're always asked to lead all the time and be proactive, take the A role. And sometimes it's nice for the analyst as well to take the proactive role. And you've worked with a lot of different analysts over the years in a lot of different sports. And some are, as you know, who have not been in broadcasting, take a little bit more time to adjust.
Yeah, and my viewpoint has always been the same. Try to make them comfortable, try to put them in a position to succeed, and that's always been my philosophy from day one. I will adjust. I'll adjust based on the personality of the person that I'm working with, try to bring out his or her strengths, and if there are any weaknesses, do my best to help them along and make them comfortable. To me, what's happened in our business, and things have changed. There was a time where the play-by-play man on television was the star, the starring role. The analyst has really become the star with strategy the way that it is, with the knowledge base that fans have when they're watching the game. The analyst is there to provide that additional insight, tell them something that they didn't know, or make them think about the game in a different way. My role is to set them up. My role is to make them look good. And I'm open to that. And that means you've got to adjust based on who you're working with.
Absolutely. Talking to Ian Eagle right here from CBS Sports. Greg Bicavera is glad you're with us right here on News Talk 1650. And we'll talk more about his game this week and every Wednesday 12 to 1. And before we get a little bit more into the meat and potatoes of this interview, let's talk about the recent passing of Ralph Kiner. He really was beloved. I mean, everybody in New York loved Ralph. People that didn't know him, he was part of the Mets broadcast since 1962.
Yeah, he was an institution, Greg, and obviously before the broadcasting career ever got going, this was an incredible player, a Hall of Fame player, accomplished, prodigious home run hitter, well-respected in the game. In addition, he was one of the guys that was at the forefront of the Major League Players Association, working on the pension for players, thinking about future beyond baseball. Anyone that I've talked to that knew, and I met him a couple of times, but that really knew him, said that he's just one of the coolest guys that you could ever be around. Great stories, gregarious, loved the game, loved talking about the game. And for anyone that grew up in the New York area like I did, to watch Kiner's Corner at the end of Mets games, that was the payoff. Because it was ahead of its time. It was this real kind of loosey format, but it worked. Ralph made people comfortable, made his guests comfortable. You would see them in a different light. And it wasn't just Mets players. Normally, if you have a post-game show, we know it's usually the home team only. You don't hear from the opposing team. That wasn't the case with his post-game show. Whoever the star of the game was, they would get him, and they would put him on the set, and he would pay them $100 cash to do it, and he would do it himself. I'm not saying that he didn't get reimbursed for the money, but he would take out a crisp $100 bill and hand it to the guest. And it was a who's who, a cavalcade of stars that came through that program. I grew up a Met fan, so Ralph Kiner, Bob Murphy, Lindsey Nelson, they were a big part of anyone that was a Met enthusiast. And I think there's something about baseball, Greg. There just is. There's a different kind of connection, especially from our youth, different kind of connection that you made with baseball announcers. 162 games. They were the voices of summer, and they just conjured certain images that other sports don't quite fill the same void.
Sure.
Things have changed in our business. Maybe baseball isn't quite what it once was, but for anyone in the age group that you and I are talking about, baseball was king. It was the dominant sport in my youth, and Ralph Kiner was a big part of it.
Yeah, because on WFAN they're talking baseball now in February. I mean, and there's no such thing as the word relevant on WFAN because they're talking baseball even in the heart of the NBA or forget college football that doesn't even exist in the tri-state area. I mean, it's just
New York is a baseball town. Will always be dominated by the Yankees, but you still have a lot of National League fans based on the Brooklyn Dodgers and those fans that then made the move to the Mets. That's what happened with me. I grew up. My dad was from Brooklyn, was a Dodger fan. Dodgers moved to L.A., so he thought, all right, well, I'll just back the new team, the new fellas, the new guys in the National League, and that got passed down to me and to my generation, and then passed it down to my son. That's how it usually works, as we know, unless there's some kind of tension in the household where the son wants to go the other way and feels the need to go the opposite direction. Oftentimes, your affiliation and association with being a fan of a team gets passed down generation to generation. Baseball still huge in the New York area, and those broadcasters from my youth, and even on the Yankee side too, because I watched all baseball. Bill White and Phil Rizzuto, Frank Messer, those guys. They made a big impression on me as a young person that dreamed of one day going into broadcasting.
And exactly, even though I grew up here, I interned at WCBS with Ed Ingles. Turned at the same time, you were pretty much at WFAN, and you were finishing Syracuse. And you look at that time with accessibility, and you don't see it now with the kids now. You work in our booth, you might see a runner or two there, but Ed said, go ahead, sit down with Bob Murphy and watch him just observe in the booth. It was so much more accessible. Mike Breen was doing a weekend show on WNBC, and just sitting there as a kid absorbing that, and I know you did the same thing, is priceless, and it helps you today, and you really can't put a price tag on that.
No, you can't substitute that experience. Anybody that is interested in this field, I will say the one really good thing about this business is you can learn every single day, no matter how many years you've done it. If you've been a broadcasting veteran for 20 years, 25 years, 30 years, you're still learning. You're still a student of this. So if I said to you, hey, you want to be a play-by-play guy? Just plop yourself in front of the television. Every night there's another game on. And you can learn something from the broadcasters that are doing it. You want to be a radio play-by-play man? You want to be a talk show host? Get in your car and take mental notes of how to do it. If you asked me, hey, I want to be a dentist, what do I do? I'll tell you, well, you go to dental school and you do everything that is required of you, but I can't get you into a root canal. That would be illegal, and I think the person that was having the root canal would be very upset if you just walked in the middle of it. So there is a difference. You can learn every single day if you have an interest in broadcasting. It's all there for you. But you're right. That real live experience, that's priceless.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you talk about, I went to George Mason. Who was the first guy I ever worked with in this business was your camp partner, Bruce Beck. I mean, he's been at WNBC forever, and he was doing play-by-play in the mid-'80s when I was just a kid in college. And you guys have a successful camp, don't you?
Yeah, we do. We've done it for 13 years, broadcasting camp for kids ages 13 to 16 in that range. And it's amazing now to think we have about 50 kids per year. So you do the math, you're talking about more than 700 kids that have come through the program, and a number that have gone into the business, that used it as a stepping stone, decided at that point that they were passionate about it. And it's been really rewarding. It's very taxing because you're engaging 50 kids for a week, and we don't just open up the camp and walk out of the room. We're there every day, all day, making sure that these kids are getting the most out of their experience, trying to share our experience and our insight into the business. So it really has been a great experience for Bruce and I. And Bruce and I have become very close. We were not close friends prior to it. We knew each other. We were acquaintances. But since that point, we've become very, very close friends based on the fact that we share this bond of trying to teach and trying to share our life's work.
Ian Eagles joining us right here on News Talk 1650, your home for CBS News right here in Hampton Roads. Greg Bicoveris. This is Sports Scene every Wednesday, 12 to 1. We're going to go over a few topics here, kind of nuggets here. We know Ian's busy, and we appreciate his schedule as well. And you grew up in the tri-state area, like you said. Did you ever think the Super Bowl would be there? I think after 9/11, the sentiment started. It worked out very well. Weather, obviously, is always an issue no matter what time of the fall or winter we're talking about anywhere in the country. But it seemed like it was pulled off, and Fox did a pretty good job with it as well.
Yeah, you know what? In the grand scheme, I'm so glad that the weather did cooperate even for that day. The next day was rough, and people getting out of the New York area, that was a challenge. But the day of the game, it was as if the NFL gods said, "Nope, we're gonna make this worth your while." The temperatures were in the 50s that day. It was unseasonably warm. And it was not an issue. It was a non-issue, which to me was the way that it had to go. I know there were others that wanted to see the weather not cooperate, to see the challenges, see how the NFL would have handled it. But I don't view life that way. I don't look at it from a negative standpoint. I wanted it to work out. Now, in the grand scheme, is it going to happen again? Should it ever happen again? I'm not sure. I think New York is a place that has something happening every single day, 365 days a year. There is a happening. There is a moment. There is an event. I don't necessarily think that in the spirit of the Super Bowl that New York City should ever be a host again. And look, I'm sure it brought in a lot of money, and it provided jobs and provided opportunities. I'm all for that, don't get me wrong. But I do think in most cases the Super Bowl really takes over the town. It becomes the event of that 4, 5, 6 day period. In New York, it was just part of the fabric of what was going on. And moving forward, I would be surprised if New York and New Jersey gets it again. That doesn't mean that there won't be some cold weather cities that try to get involved. I know New England/Boston would love it, Philadelphia, Washington, Baltimore, Chicago, all of these cities would love to be a part of it. The NFL, to me, they're going to take everything that they experienced over the course of the year in preparation for the New York Super Bowl into account and try to make the best educated decision moving forward to see whether or not they need to pull the plug on this or continue it and see if they can make it work in some colder weather cities.
That's it. Talking to Ian Eagle right here from CBS Sports. Greg Bicoveris. This is Sports Scene around 12:47 live on the radio right here during the lunch hour, of course, each Wednesday 12 to 1. And just like pulling the plug, just like you called NFL games for so many years for CBS, a lot of head coaching changes. And, of course, the Redskins will have Gruden this fall, but it just keeps on going, whether it was Detroit or whoever, the Browns. It just seems like every year it's a premium job, it's a high-stress job, and it's always seems like every team is trying to evolve based on another team sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing we've learned about the NFL, Greg, is that there's going to be a surprise team every year that emerges. So when you hit the off season, if you're an owner, if you're a general manager, if you're in upper management and personnel, you believe that you're the next team. You believe that you can be the team to turn it around, and you try to convince your fan base of such. But part of that convincing is showing your fans that you're doing everything in your power to make that happen. Sometimes that's when the decision comes in with the coach. If things feel stale, if it feels as if it's not heading in the right direction, that's one way to indicate to your fans that you're serious. You're serious about winning. You're serious about getting over the hump. You're serious about turning the corner and turning the franchise into a winning culture. That's a pretty big statement to make, as we know, because the head coach really does become the face of the organization, sure. All the press conferences, all the attention, and the fact that they've got their hands on the controls every single Sunday, and then Monday through Saturday, they set the tone inside that facility, inside that building. The thing about football that I find so interesting, because there are only 16 weeks, people don't realize how big an impact a win has on everybody within the franchise, in marketing, in the sales department, secretaries, you name it. Everybody's affected by a win or a loss, and you don't get to do it again for another week, unlike the other sports where you can put a tough loss off to the side and play the next night. The NBA, you play back-to-backs, you play 4 and 5 nights. NHL, baseball, day in, day out. NFL, you live with that loss for an entire week until you play again, or if you have a bye week, for 2 weeks. So I think that's why you see so many changes made. I think that's why you see owners making the decisions that they make. They understand that they need to keep their audience engaged and keep them interested in the product.
Talking to Ian Eagle from CBS Sports, this is News Talk 1650. Final few moments with Ian. Greg Bicoveris, glad you're with us on the radio online at tunein.com. Type in WHKT 1650. And Sports Talk Radio has been really hot this week, of course, with the Michael Sam story, the Marcus Smart story. But let me say this too, Ian, because when we work basketball games, we are all vulnerable, those of us in the media, right behind the fans. We have no idea when we're concentrating and having our backs to them what is going on. That was a perfect example a little bit further away with the unfortunate incident with Oklahoma State. But that is a sport in golf where the fans, the players, the broadcasters, the officials, even here locally, Old Dominion had a couple players ejected. You never saw fans sitting on the front row next to coaches. Now, there are some coaches that will not tolerate that at all, and they'll say, move them 3 or 4 seats down. But it's just really become all-inclusive, and it's sometimes very dangerous.
No doubt about it. And, I've been working NBA games now for 20 years, and when you put that headset on, it's hard to explain to someone that has never experienced it, and most people haven't. Most people have the fan perspective. But Greg, you understand, when you put that headset on, you're blocking everything out. You're focused on the game at hand. And that's not to say that you don't tell the story of what's happening around the arena. You do, but especially on the TV side, you're talking to pictures. In addition to what's happening on the court, you're trying to match your commentary to what's being shown on television. Those are the best television broadcasts. You're frustrated at home when the announcer is talking about one thing and the director is showing something else. You put those headsets on, you turn the volume up, and you try to maintain steel-like focus in what it is you're doing. Who's got the ball? Who's got the lead? What's the situation? How much time remaining? What's at stake? All of the storylines. And because of that, you often do try to tune out the crowd. Because if you allow it to be a distraction, you can't do your job well. I don't go to that many sporting events anymore that I'm not calling.
Sure.
But I will tell you, the ones that I do attend, I'm shocked. I'm absolutely shocked at some of the things that come out of people's mouths. That's not everybody. I'm not painting a broad stroke. But for many people, it is a release. For many people, they pay the ticket price. They feel like it's a license to push the boundaries, to see whether or not they could get under the skin or affect the game, affect the athletes. And that's their prerogative, of course. My sense would always be, from the athlete's point of view, is you got to block it out. And even the most horrific things that are being said, it doesn't give you the justification to go into the crowd and put your hands on somebody else. You have to rise above it. You have to be better than that. You're being judged at a higher standard. Whether that's fair or unfair is irrelevant in the equation. You have so much more to lose by doing what Marcus Smart did. And look, I've watched the play 100 times.
Mm-hmm.
And who knows what was said prior to that? Who knows if this guy wasn't riding him the entire game? I know everybody's been focused on what did he say specifically in that moment. Well, what did he say in the first 2 minutes of the game? What did he say in the first 3 minutes of the second half? Who knows?
Yeah.
Everybody got focused on what was said at that moment. We have no idea what was being said throughout the game. He let his emotions get the best of him. We want our athletes to be emotional. We want them to be passionate. We just don't want them to cross the line.
Sure.
It's a very strange place that we live in as a fan. I think that one, unfortunately, for Marcus Smart, it went too far. I'm glad it didn't escalate beyond that. It could have been a much uglier situation. I met Marcus earlier this season when I did the Oklahoma State-Kansas game. I talked to him for a few minutes. Everybody I've spoken with associated with the program will tell you he's a great young man. Great young man. Whatever pressure he was feeling, the team being down, the team struggling, all of it, just building, and it erupted in that moment. It's unfortunate. I hope it doesn't define him. I don't think it will for the rest of his basketball career. Hopefully, it's a footnote.
Yeah, he snapped, and he shouldn't worry about it because what is the guy in the top row saying that they can't hear? But I'll say this, Travis Ford acted like he didn't know what was going on. I didn't like his behavior because he didn't do anything. He didn't react that well. He knew what was going on. And also, the other thing, too, is I'm surprised, Ian, he could have been arrested for assault and battery by the police right there. Worse things have happened. If he would have done that public at a mall to a family with kids, he would have been arrested.
Yeah, it was a strange set of circumstances. Everybody kind of got caught up in the moment, and because it's not something that you see every day, I do believe that the reaction was such that people didn't quite know what to do.
Sure. So,
in my mind, we learned a little bit. You hope it's a teaching moment. For Smart, I can guarantee you that it's not going to happen again. He's going to think twice before ever putting himself in that position, before ever allowing someone to affect him in that manner. You can see both sides. Certainly the people that came out right away and said, how would you like it if somebody was screaming at you and screaming at your face? Of course, you wouldn't, but you have to look at the dynamic. That's part of the deal. It's just part of reality for an athlete. And you say, well, he's a college athlete. He shouldn't be held to that standard, that scrutiny. Yeah, but those lines have blurred, and you have to rise above it. And then the other side, which is understandable as well, that a guy paid money for his ticket. He's allowed to pop off if he wants. You hope individually that someone has integrity and has ethics and cares for others and has a human bone in his body. I don't know the guy involved. We've read some stories regarding him. I'm not going to speculate on who he is or how he acts or what kind of person he is. But he's not alone. This isn't a individual moment that one person experienced. This happens every day at sporting events of all levels, by the way, where people lose all perspective, lose their minds, and feel like they've got a license to act like an idiot.
Look at the tennis players in the past. I won't mention any names, but we're going to leave it with a promo like we always do. I've worked with Ian in Washington, Baltimore, now North Carolina this weekend. We'll be working the UNC Pitt game. Him and Greg Anthony, of course, one of the top NBA analysts who played for the Knicks as well. I am going to go ahead and pass you the card 3 days early before Saturday. Tell us what's coming up.
Coming up is the Saturday game, as you mentioned, Pitt against North Carolina, ACC matchup. Looking forward to that. NBA All-Star weekend, and then the Nets hit the road. Nets will be in Utah to open up the unofficial second half of the season. That'll be on Wednesday of next week, and then I'll travel back east, and I've got Ole Miss hosting Florida over the weekend on CBS with Doug Gottlieb. So That's what we got coming up, and looking forward to all the assignments.
And I know, because I worked at Georgetown Butler last week, they would want me to say, don't forget, CBS has got the NFL Thursdays in 20 because we played that promo twice during the Butler game last week, and we did it a couple times. But Ian, best of luck, and I'll see you Saturday. Always appreciate your time, your talent, and your treasure, my friend.
All right, Greg. Great to talk to you. We'll see you in a couple of days.
See you in a few days. All right. Ian Eagle right there from CBS Sports. I'm going to do an abbreviated version myself of highlights and what teased me off without Mr. Ken's bumper music. But don't forget, you got it, Kenny? The highlights.
It's now time for Greg's Highlights on Sports Scene, presented by GJBTV.com Marketplace Sponsors Page.
We're going to do this and tease me off quick. Don't forget GJBTV.com, archive shows. Click the YouTube link, shop on the Marketplace sponsors. Save the date for Sports Scene each Wednesday from 12 to 1. Save the date for the Newport News Greek Festival, May 29th to June 1st. Royal Chocolate Valentine's Day, they are the best. Don't forget to get your taxes done. What teased me off? The cold weather, long meetings. No meeting should ever be over an hour for any reason. Lines, whether you're in a car, a grocery store, or the bank, always be courteous. And the hype of signing day a few weeks ago, last week, so much can happen between February and September. Get it done on the field. Recruiting means nothing unless they play well. I want to thank our guests, Mitchell Bradley, Brenda Tusing, and the great Ian Eagle from CBS Sports. We'll be back next Wednesday from 12 to 1. For more, log on to GJBTV.com. Click the YouTube link for Sports Scene Archives. For Ken Johnson, I'm Greg Bicoveris. Happy Wednesday, and we'll talk to you soon.
No backups and delays on the roadways. We're looking for some snow coming this afternoon. Cloudy, windy, a high of 39. Cloudy, windy, mix of rain and snow tonight. Rain overnight, low 37. Cloudy, windy, rain tomorrow, high of 43. AM 1650 WHKT in Portsmouth. It's 12.